Yeah, good on. Go on, Mark. Go on. Hello and welcome back to another exciting episode of UK Fish Layer. Today we are going to be fishing for my favourite shore species and doing my favourite type of shore fishing, and that fishing is chasing after Gilthead Bream, fishing the estuaries of the southwest of England, round in Devon. I'm going to take you through my approach that I use when targeting these fish, and with any luck we'll try to catch you a few fish as well for the camera. They can be quite elusive at times, but if they are moving around, you've got a very good opportunity and chance to catch them, as long as you're doing, you know, the correct things at the correct time. So sit back, enjoy, fingers crossed. Could be a very frenetic, exciting episode, and it could be a very dull, boring one, but you'll get a few tips and hints either way. Have a watch. So welcome back. You're joining me today in the first part of our multi-episode series of gilthead fishing, and we're going to be running through the fundamentals of fishing for giltheads, as well as trying to get some action in and actually catching some fish for the camera also. Okay guys, just take you through the outfit that I use when I'm gilthead fishing. We're primarily fishing in small estuary areas, so there's no need for 14-foot heavy 4 to 8 ounce beach casters with multi-plier setups. I opt for, and I believe the best option is for a fixed ball reel. I use Shimano saltwater bait runners because it gives you the opportunity and option to go with free spool when you've got your baits out in the water. The gilthead sometimes hit really hard, and it's good to have that free spool so you don't lose your rods into the water. Reels loaded up with 15-pound, quite a natural colour line. I don't ever go for bright greens or luminous standout lines. I always keep things quite natural and inconspicuous, because the water is very clear, and I just don't want there to be a hell of a lot of traps sitting and standing out whilst the fish swim through. You want them just to hone into your bait and eat without hesitation. I've got a very nice set of Ziplex Profile M rods that actually I had made up to my specs for this type of fishing, courtesy of my dearest brother. You can use a carp rod. I've used carp rod many times before I got these rods, and actually I've had my best fish on carp rod. So, you know, don't worry about needing to go super expensive. A decent carp rod is more than ample for this type of fishing. You can see there I've got the tripod set. I've also got a landing net at the ready. Again, really useful piece of kit. When you get a big fish, if you get a big fish, they definitely pull hard, and you don't want to lose one at the last minute near your rod tip because you haven't got a net and you're trying to beach it. So good landing net, and hopefully we can use it today. Okay, rigs that I use, I keep it really simple. Simple running ledger. I have neutral colour black beads. I use a nice neutral colour freshwater style gripper lead. This one's 4 ounces. 3 or 4 ounces is enough for where I'm fishing here. Again, a neutral black coloured zip slider. I don't want any of my rig stuff to be standing out. All I want is the business end, which is a size 2.0 Sakuma Manta extra hook, if you can see that, with a nice bright orange bead on this one. I have a bright yellow bead on the other. This is just something that I like to put in place so when you're fishing, everything else is invisible-ish, and the only thing for the fish to hone into is this little bead that catches their eye and your bait on the end of it. I've got 25 pounds fluorocarbon hook length, about 2.5 to 3 foot typically. And what's that I hear you say? Size 2.0? Well, I've read online that you should be using carp hooks or size 4s. No, my approach is a nice, strong hook, big enough size that you're going to set the hook on a bigger fish. I've caught lots of giltheads. My best is 8-10. I've caught a number of 6-pounders, and I can tell you that using small carp hooks for them, the chance of hooking a big gilthead in the big mouth with their bony mouth structure with a small hook is little to none. Even with a bigger hook, you'll find you do lose a lot of decent sized fish because within their mouth they have a very bony structure, teeth, and going back into the roof of their mouth they have like pits of rock hard gum. And if you set the hook and it hits into one of those rock hard gums, you'll find that you can be fighting them for a while and they'll just bump their head and they just pop the hook. Unless you get it in the scissors or down in the lower jaw, you don't really hook them. So a nice size hook. If I don't catch a few ounce size gilthead because I've got a too big a hook, I don't really care. I don't want to lose that big fish if I'd get a chance to hook it. And they definitely pull hard, so you want a nice strong hook to stay in place and not straighten when you get into it. So that's why I have ended up fishing with size 2.0s. Baits that I'll be using today will be two rods I'll be using. On one rod I'm using lugworm, and on the second rod I'll be using peeler crab. And I find that you get a lot of takes on the peeler. They definitely love them. It's more difficult to get the hookups on the peeler crab. You'll find that they tend to come and attack the crab quite often and leave you with an empty shell and smash it, even when you get a very vigorous bite. Whereas with the lugworm, they come along and hoop it down in one, and you quite often get a good hook hold and a good hook up on lugworm, and they definitely eat it. I've had all my best fish, incidentally, all of my biggest fish have come to lugworm. So for those that think you have to use crab or you have to use razor clam, that's not the case. They definitely come and eat worm. Obviously, if there's a lot of crab activity out there, sometimes that can be a problem with the worm baits. However, they definitely love to eat worm, ragworm as well, but I prefer lugworm. Got to put a shout out once again to Southwest Sea Baits. They always come good with the bait. Lovely fat juicy worms there. I've got a nice box load of crabs from them there. You just can't argue with that. They always take good care of their regular customers. Go up and hit them up, guys, if you want to get some nice bait. And there we go, guys. That's the one rod fishing at the moment. I'm just waiting for the tide to start going down. He's bang on high water at the moment. The mark that I'm on is primarily a low water mark. what you have is a bit of a rock plateau. If you can see the weed out in the surf there, and there's a bit of a drop off behind that. So as the tide starts to recede, we'll be fishing off of where that weedy area is and slightly beyond, casting out into the channel towards the boats over there. And it's relatively deep out there, sort of 20 feet deep along the boat channel. And that's where you'll pick up a lot of the fish as the tide's going out, leaving and pushing all of that water volume out of the estuary. You'll get a lot of the fish that have headed up the estuary to feed on the mud flats up to my left here, coming out, and they seem to swim past and accumulate around this deeper mark at times, and so you can get some good action here. Okay, so I thought I'd show you how I go about rigging up my crab baits when I'm gilthead fishing. I'll always start, I'll take the claws off, and then I'll pop the back shell off, but leave all the legs on in place, because I want a little bit of leg movement, and I also want that as something to bind to. The giltheads definitely have got very hard bony mouths, and what they do is they'll come and smash at the crab, and they like to peck and hit the legs and whatnot off. So it's good to have something for them to attack. So I'll put the hook through the back section of the crab. So you'll see here that I've got now the crab mounted with hook out the side and legs either side. Just take some elastic cotton. Now what I'll tend to do is I'll tend to grab hold of the whole set of legs on the side of the eye of the hook, and then I'll go right up near where the joints are on the legs and just wrap that in place, so it's like a little parcel of wrapped in legs, like so. I then hop to the shank of the hook, go around the hook a couple of times to give it an anchor point, and then I just do the same with the joints of the legs. So I'll just wrap it around the legs like so. There we go, and I'll just do 1/2 hitch knot over the top, go with a second, snap the elastic. Okay, so now if we have a look, this here now is how I like to go about my crab baits. I've got a nice bead for a visual impact. They can get to hone in on it, but you can see there, as that sits in the water, whichever way up it sits, you've got the scent slowly leaking out of the crab, but visually, and when we're fishing with gilthead, it's generally clear water, so you will get you know, some need for visual impact. Visually, that looks like a nice crab sat on the bottom, helpless crab sat on the bottom waiting to be scoffed. If a big bream comes along, they just come along and scoof the whole lot up in one. So, you know, you don't need to worry about all this situation with the legs, but when you've made the anchor point with the whipping, you'll find the hook stays nice and proud, and as they do come and attack it, you've got a good chance of setting the hook on them then. That's how I go about it anyway. Well guys, let me just welcome you to a bit of a local legend here. Lo and behold, it's the local legend Larking. How you doing, Larks? All right? Fine, he's going to come here and probably show me how to do it, because he's a bit of an old wily old dog, this one, and he knows how to catch a few fish. But I think with both of us out here having a go, we've got a pretty good chance if there's any fish around. So fingers crossed, we'll be able to do something for the camera and at least show you one of these nice fish. Yeah. So both rods out fishing now, and now the waiting game begins. I had the one cast on my left hand rod just while we were waiting for the tide to go down a little, put worm on it. Good news was that there was no crabs scoffing the worm down, so it came back quite complete, which is really good, because if you're getting problems with the crabs, you won't last 5 or 10 minutes with each cast. You're in and out all day. But yeah, this is the one thing with fishing for bream that I think people struggle with, is that it really is a waiting game. They are quite nomadic fish by my experience, they never hang around. Even when you get into a hot bite, you'll seem to get a show of them come through. You'll get rods hooping over left, right and centre for you know, any period of time, half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour, and then they just go. They don't hang around, and they're moving on constantly. It's whether or not they move through your patch while you're fishing, is whether or not you'll get bites from them. The only other thing that I would say in terms of catching fish, and what definitely sets you apart and will up your numbers, is that you've got to get it out of your head, and this is another, in my opinion, bit of a fallacy, that they pull the rod in and they took everything out. Yeah, they do give you very aggressive bites at times and hoop the rod over, but 9 times out of 10, if you don't get onto them and set the hook, even when the rod arches over, they just spit it. They've got rock hard mouths, and I've found numerous times that you'll get a massive pull down and then it just pulls back up and nothing, they're gone. You can't, it's not like fishing for smooth hounds where they'll pull the rod and start taking drag off and you're into them. You can't just wait for them to hook themselves. They won't. You have to sit on your rods, be patient. Bites only come in little periods of the tide throughout the whole tide. Be patient, concentrate, work on the rods all the whole tide, and when you do get the bites, my experience is if you get a little tap on the rod or a half pull round, pick the rod up, get ready for it, because if they give you a tap, if they're round, if you get a shoal of them and they're attacking the bait, they seem to all attack the bait. Pick the rod up, hold it in your hands, disengage your free spool if you've got bait runners, and wait for them, and wait for the bites to develop, to progress. And as it does progress and pulls over a wee bit, then you can set the hook. And once you do it that way, if you do set the hook, 9 times out of 10 then you get a good enough chance of catching them. So you've done a bit of research on Gilthead's life cycles and that, Larks, haven't you?
Very interesting. Like I said, when the Gilthead gets to approximately round about 2 pound in weight, which is probably about that because they're all muscle on it, so they're always heavier than they look. They change, 75 to 85% of them change their sex and become female. And when they, as they get bigger, obviously they get less, whether they're caught by rod and line anglers or netters or whatever. They're more nomadic, the bigger ones. Occasionally you might be lucky to see 2 or 3 together, but most of the time they're on their own. That's why when you get a big one, it's quite often a loner.
Yeah.
And most of the people I know, well, you had an 8 pounder, haven't you?
I have, yeah. That best day's fishing I think I've ever actually had. You know, I've caught some fish in my time, but that fish, that 8 pounder, was probably the best fish I ever caught. Yeah, go on, carry on.
Get bigger, they only live up to about 11 years.
Yeah.
I've researched it all. But as they get bigger, as we get older, our eyesight goes and our hearing goes. But with Giltheads, big ones, theirs gets better.
Really?
Yeah, and their eyes continuously grow. When we get to a certain age, I mean, I was 21 and their eyes is, you know, not bone structure. Well, they're continuously growing, their eyes get bigger. And they'll come up to your bait and they'll look at it. And if they see something wrong with it, they'll just swim on by.
Yeah.
So they're not always easy.
No.
That easy, but a bit like the situation you had the day you had a few. There's more than likely that 8 pounder you had, 8, 10, had a mate with it.
Yeah.
Then they become a bit like dogs would be, and they'll take it even if they don't really want it to stop the other ones, because they're very competitive. I've seen YouTube channels where gilts are chasing gilts and it's got a mussel in their mouth.
Yeah.
Trying to get them to drop it to pinch it off them.
Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, and I was amazed. I watched that one thousands of times.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot by watching that.
Yeah.
And stopping it halfway through the video, and I'm thinking, I'll be damned. And there's another one where the Gilthead's swimming along a reef similar to this, and there's a diver right next to it.
Yeah.
Filming it, and this Gilthead's similar. It's a big one, probably the size you had, or maybe bigger. And it stops, and it tilts itself. It can hear something in the crevice, like maybe a prawn.
Yeah.
Or something, but it can't get at it, and it tilts itself and carries on.
Yeah.
So it's searching for food.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did see that.
They're more in tune to their environment than what we are. That's for sure.
What they don't like, the bigger ones in particular,
Yeah.
is high-pitched boat noises.
Yeah.
here where we're fishing, it can get busy, especially during the summer months.
Yeah.
So you're better off getting here first light, or even in the dark, or late in the evening when it quietens down.
Yeah.
The fish in this particular deep water mark.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, that high pitch sound, you know, treble sounds.
Yes.
Bassy noises, it doesn't bother them, you know, like a boat that goes boom, boom.
But it's the outboard motors.
But I've learned so much, and I've been fishing before with people, and I go, right, we've had about 20 boats go past here, and some of us been. It's like just so noisy. I said, we ain't getting no gilts here.
Yeah.
I looked over to my left, I thought, I haven't seen a single boat go in that bag.
Mm.
Pick my gear up, so I'm going over there for half an hour.
Yeah.
And I've cast in, and I've gone bang, and I've been hit by gilts straight away. So
Do you think they've moved from the pressure of the boats? Do you think they've sort of almost shifted along to a quieter area?
yeah, well, they're depending on hearing the sound of a prawn or a crab bubbling. And
Yeah.
that, and they're waiting for a pup. But if there's noise, Blue Planet 2's proved that, haven't they? They've actually videoed, you know, it's on telly,
Yeah.
where it affects the way fish behave.
Yeah.
Noise from boats. If all boats was electric and silent,
Yeah.
then there wouldn't be a problem. But that's the other thing I've discovered.
Yeah.
Now, I've been told by certain anglers that they catch in dirty water. Well, I've tried and I fish hard.
Yeah.
And I can't buy a bite, not from a gilt.
I'm with you on that. My experience of them as well, I've only caught them when it's nice, clear water. When it's dirty and chocolate coloured, I've had nothing.
Well, I was fishing with a friend of mine once, and we turned up with this mark in the Tamar, Cramble. There's no mark for big gilt.
Uh-huh.
When it's quiet and the water's clear, and it does go clear, it goes gin clear sometimes. And when he turns up there, and I looked over, we got down off the rock, parked up with one on gear, and I looked in the water, and I said, mate, this ain't going to clear, it's just gone high water, and it's clouding up. I said, do you fancy going somewhere else? He goes, yeah. So bearing in mind we're in Cramble in Plymouth, right, or West Cornwall actually, obviously Devon Point. So I said, come on, let's go back to the car. We drove all the way from there to Hale.
Yeah.
It's about, from there, it was probably about a 75, 80 mile journey.
Just for some clearer
We
water.
got there and it was a bit like this place, South Estuary. The water was gin clear and we caught gilts. Nothing big, but
Yeah.
we caught. I said, if we'd have stayed where we were, we'd only had wrasse and bass and rays
Yeah.
maybe. But we wouldn't have had anything else.
No.
And I can't catch a gilthead in dirty water. No, I've been told by certain anglers that they catch them in that. Well, show them.
Yeah, so Larks has got a very interesting way that he likes to fish razor fish. So
Nick it gently like that on the soft side. It's quite simple really to do. Find the cotton and then you gently wrap it round, go round nice and fast around the eye of the hook.
So you're using the whole thing with the shell as well?
Yeah, of course.
Whole lot?
Yeah, it's still alive. In fact, occasionally they'll still poke their heads out even once that hook's gone through them.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll put it, oh no, that is the right way. And then, if you're paranoid about the hook showing, what you can do, put that down there, you get, I've got one in here somewhere, well, any crab will do, but
A bit of crab's leg?
oh yeah, there's a softie there, look, go like that, go like that. Which I am paranoid sometimes. And there you go. And then I've got some beads on that green ones. You can use any colour you like.
Yeah.
It's just
And you use a running pattern, I still think, don't you?
yeah, the running pat. But the thing about the beads as well is if you get a big gilthead, because they've got teeth, there's less chance of biting through your trace. I've actually got £50 braid on here
Okay.
because I was getting bitten off a lot. So
Fair enough.
and yeah, that's it. And
Well, there you go. Have a look at that.
that's like a crunchy bar to a gilthead.
Well, let's hope it is, and let's hope you can catch one on that very one.
Yeah.
You in? Well done. Do you? Do you want me to go down with a net just in case? He'll be a ray, you reckon?
Holding it there. The other one we don't just now. Yeah, it's not a gilthead. It is. I don't know though. It's not a bit.
Yeah, let's hope it is.
It is. It's a bloody heavy one. I think it's a ray, mate. See it nod then?
I saw it nod.
Line singing.
Ha ha ha.
Down here somewhere. There's a ray in it, a little ray.
Bit of weed, and there's a ray there.
Weed, that's why.
Yeah, you've got a ray on there though.
Look.
Oh, I can hear that.
That's on the over. God, Bennett.
You weren't getting off.
No, he wasn't. God. Jesus, that's gone right in the armpit. There we go. Cool, he's got a bit of weight to him, you know.
Yeah, ideal. Nice, well done. Well done. Hopefully that's the icebreaker. We have had a few bites, little knocks and some tentative little taps. That's the first proper bit of action. About an hour before low water at the moment, but this mark fish is all the way from low water to a good 3 hours up, so hopefully we can start catching a few fish. Well done, Mark.
Spider crab.
Probably.
You have been snipped off.
Yeah, I've tied 4 new hooks on so far. 2 snips off, and I've had to retie the snoo twice. Well, that's what we're having to contend with at the moment. I don't know if you can just see that in the water there, but there are clumps of weed pushing through, and got absolutely no chance at the moment until that tide and wind pushes it through. Okay guys, so we have been beaten to submission here with weed and spider crabs. So the plan of action is we are going to sit it out for another half an hour. If we don't get anything, we are heading off to a different mark to give it a go and see if we can change our fortune. No gilt, only the one thornback ray, and really hard going, if I'm honest. Really hard going, almost pull your hair out, difficult, but we are going to persevere, head off to, as I say, a different mark and change of spot, change of fortune, hopefully. Weed, weed and more weed. Okay, so just packing up now, the first mark. No joy, plenty of crabs, plenty of weed. So we are now taking a long, hard walk to get back to the motors, and we are going to head to a new mark. And let's see how we do there. We'll see you when we get there. Here we are on the second mark. Fat juicy worms. I just had a little knock, yeah. That felt like a sharp. Ah, worm.
Was it?
That's on worm. That was a pullover, that one.
I could see that. I saw the bite.
Ah, have a look at that. That was 2 big worms.
Took the lot.
Took the lot. Right, guys. So, just to update you, we are now a week down the line from when Larks had the thornback ray, and when we filmed the first section of the video, we went to the second spot, blanked out on the gilts there also. Tough going. So we have now decided to meet up early in the morning. It's now 4 AM and I'm sitting in a little country lane and waiting for Larks to turn up. And I just think I've seen his lights driving down the road actually. Just on cue. I'll just pan the phone round here and you'll see. There he is. Ideal. We'll see you down there. Right, guys, here we are, spot number 3. After Larks had the thornback ray, we did move to another spot, and unfortunately we couldn't find any gilts on that day. So now it's a new day, exactly a week later. We're bright and early in the morning, sun is just coming up.
Oh, you got the sun?
Yeah. It's just coming over the hillside on the far side. Pleasure to be out this morning actually, and we're in search of our elusive gilt head. I've got 1 rod out on razor, 1 rod on worm. Larks is fishing 1 on crab, 1 on razor, so we've got a bit of a veritable banquet out there for the fish as they come through, and fingers crossed we can do the business today. It's about just after 4 AM now. We met, well sorry, just a bit later than that actually, about nearly 5 AM. We met in a little lane somewhere in the middle of nowhere at 4 AM in the morning. Did a bit of a march to our mark, and here we are. Have a look at this here. Stunning.
And you've left the landing net behind.
I did.
That's a good one. Oh, bad one. One of the two.
Larks' bugbear, my landing net. I did it on purpose. After we had a tough session last week, I left it indoors. I thought I'll take that off. Probably need it today now. At least I hope we do. Straight into the path of a large gilt, that one.
Yeah, I hope so.
I'm gonna bring this one in. I reckon there's a few strands.
They're little piranhas, aren't they?
They're like little piranhas, yeah.
They strip all your bait, them buggers. They do when you keep getting hit by them, they dangle them on your crab. They even eat the cotton, the buggers.
Well, there we go, guys. Razor fish. And out she goes. Did you? I reckon I've got a little one on here. I've got the culprit. I've got a little bream, yeah. Well, that's the culprit for all these little bites. Have a look at this. Little shits. Beautiful little fish. There's a baby gilt, yeah. Palm of your hand size. Whoop. There we go. Well, that's the icebreaker. And first gilt of the day. Surely they've got to get bigger than that. But still, I'll take that to start with. There we go. I'm going to let this one go back in. See him shoot off. Off he goes. Lovely. Well, that's a bream, and that's what a bream looks like. But now we want one about 20 times the size. So we're just about to start to pack up to have a little move. But before we do pack up, I'm just going to take 1 minute for you guys just to sit back and breathe in the atmosphere. It's a little bit special around here. Dead silent, just the birds in the background and me nattering on. Rods out, sunshine gleaming across the water as the tide's coming in. Beautiful. Right, just the one very small bream for our troubles for the first part of this morning. Still very early days, but what we're going to do now as the tide's picking up is we are going to round our stuff up and go and move to a different mark and follow it along around into some deeper water as the tide starts picking up. So catch us there. Yeah, I'm on. Ha ha.
The plague of the bass.
I knew it when I first bent into it. Oh, there we go.
You know, when I'm fishing for Gilthead, even if I catch him 4, 5, 6 pound bass, I call it the plague of the bass.
Just had a bit of a walk and we're just about to bang one out. There we go. I'll give that a spin out there, see how we do. What was that, on crab or razorfish?
This one's on crab.
Yeah.
The razorfish did the same. Still there though.
Yeah. Yeah. Good on. Go on, Mark. Go on. Oh yes.
It's got some weight to it, power to it. And I haven't landed it yet, just proves by moving can get you a point.
Whatever it is a decent fish.
Yeah. No head shaking on it though. Knock me up into something. What's that there? See that?
Yeah, I just saw that. Something flanked as well. Cool, blimey.
Ha! I had to let it give it line then. Oh, yeah, I think it is a gilt, mate. Done a bit of head shaking there. Oh no, I think I put the other line up there. It's either that or I've got a bite on the other one.
You just concentrate on this one. Don't worry about that. Do you want me to do anything? Do you want me to bring that one in or?
No, I just wanted to check. I think it might be a bite on that one there. Possible. They both did the same, both went slack. I assumed it was the tide and then Unless I have got my line. God, my line's singing.
Yeah.
Staying deep.
I reckon it's a good gilt.
This is where I wish you bought your net.
Don't start saying that. It is a gilt. It is a gilt.
What's it? It's attached to something else though, isn't it? Like lost line or something.
Tethered onto a lost line, is it?
Probably that braid. It don't look that big. Oh, come on, can you hear my line?
I can hear your line singing.
I think I've got another piece of line on there.
Yeah.
Look, I can't bring it in. Look.
Is it tethered?
Not this fish, but the other line is.
That's what I mean. Is it tethered to the other line?
Maybe there's another fish that someone's lost them.
What, 2 for the price of 1?
Yeah, see, that's the girl. He's not that big, is he? They didn't have a fight though, didn't they?
Odd. He's still having a scrap there though.
Come off.
He's come off, well done.
This one's still fighting.
Yeah, go on.
Not even bad.
That's a nice fish.
Actually.
That's a decent fish, Mark. Come on, bring that in.
Oh, he's fat, isn't he?
Yeah.
In the water, he only looked about a pound and a half. Got the bloody rod stuck in his bloody
That's a
weight,
decent fish, that is.
Oh yeah, he's alright.
Yeah, he is a nice one.
Oh.
Come on, come on. Come to daddy, come to daddy.
Oh yeah.
Get in, get in.
Look at the sheep.
Nice one. That's a beauty, well done. After all that effort we've put in, well done.
Carp, yes.
Yeah, well played.
That's well over 4, isn't it?
Yeah, that definitely. Do you want me to get the scales? And I've got some digis there.
Yeah, I've got scales, mate. Oh look, right in the scissors. That's
Right in the scissors.
Lovely.
Now that's what we're talking about, guys. Now that's the Gilthead, and the master's here just showing us how it's done. Thankfully, we've
Good
put
job.
some...
I said let's move, didn't I? I've just had that feeling.
Well,
in my
you made the
bones.
call.
And what did I say about the wind? It's gone northeast. What did you get? I said.
Nice plump fish.
You get bigger fish on northeasterlies.
Do you want to hold that up so I can get a little close up on that, Mark? That's a beauty, mate. Well done.
That's all right, though, isn't
There
it?
we
I'm
go.
chuffed
Have a
to
look at
bits
that.
with that.
Yeah, well, I'm chuffed to bits with that as well.
He's crunching his teeth. Listen to that.
And have a look at the mouth in him there. Look at the teeth. Now, that's what we were talking about, bony mouths. I'm so happy. I'm so pleased you've had that. We've put so much effort into that. And, and just deserves. Larks has been putting us on all these different marks, trying our hardest to catch you this fish, and he deserves that. I'm well pleased.
Yeah,
Stoked for that.
I reckon it's close to 4.
Well, I reckon so. It's got, you know what? It's got some shoulders on it.
Zeroed
Right,
off.
there's zeroed. There we go.
And then I can now lay them down, lay him in.
Might be pleasantly surprised with that one. Yeah, I thought so.
Yes.
That's 4 pound, 15 ounces.
And I put him back now, mate.
Yeah, slip him in.
Because he's only lip hooked, he wouldn't deep hooked. I'm going to hold him. It's down here.
It's nice to see these big girls go back anyway.
Yeah.
So there you go, guys. 4 pounds, 15 ounces of solid
I'm
gold.
going to hold him upright. That's the secret, is to hold him upright for a while.
Spine's up.
Come on, babes. Up that way. Down through that gully.
Gone.
Oh, you're packing up at the best time, Ben. Get on your lightweight, I'll burn you out, you know.
Right, guys, that is it. I've packed up. I've deserted the animal that's Larks. We've done a double session and he's still going strong. Fair play to him. Got to say a massive thanks to Larks for helping us out with this video and passing on some of his knowledge to you guys, because honest and truthfully, what he's got to say, you should listen to it, because he's one of the premier gilt fishermen in the country. That's not blowing his trumpet, but that's a fact. And he does definitely know what he's talking about. And it's only a matter of time before he rips into a serious fish of £10 plus. That's his dream fish, and that will come the way it's going. But once again, thanks a lot for watching. I hope you've taken a few hints and tips out of this one. So pleased that Larks managed to rescue us with that lovely fish. And you know, it's been hard going. Couple of days worth of fishing we've done. We've put in 2 whole solid days of fishing. double tides. We've walked miles and miles and covered lots of ground, and we've taken one big fish between us and a couple of bites, and we've had obviously a couple of small scrappy stuff and the ray as well. But other than that, thanks for watching. See you next time, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks a lot, Larks. Nice one, mate.
That's all right,
Thank
mate.
you.